Mythical Island is the first mini expansion to release into the game, and with it comes our first major shakeup to the metagame. In this video, I'll be briefly going over the set and giving my initial impressions on the newly available cards. Since this is a mini set and there's only 68 cards, I'll be showcasing each card in the set, but I'll try to highlight which ones are the big movers and shakers. Keep in mind, these are all mostly untested opinions since the set just came out today, so it's possible there's something I'm overrating or underrating. First off, we are going to start with Grass, which I think is positioned to be a legitimate contender in the new meta now. Superior is going to be the backbone of all the Grass decks in this set. It sports the powerful Jungle Totem ability, which we've seen before in the physical TCG, albeit, I believe, mostly on Venusaur, I think. As long as Superior is in play, all your Grass energy attached to Grass Pokemon count as 2 Grass energy instead of 1. This provides a source of pseudo energy acceleration for old grass attackers like Venusaur EX, as well as the new Exeggutor, which does 80 damage plus 20 for each energy attached to the opponent's active Pokemon. The real powerhouse for utilizing this ability, though, is the new Celebi EX card, which flips a coin for each energy attached to it and does 50 damage for each heads. So with only 2 energy attached, this means you're flipping 4 coins with Superior, which is the same attack seen on Zapdos EX, but for 1 less energy attachment and the ability to continue scaling with more attachments. I suspect Celebi EX and Superior is going to be one of the top dogs of the new meta, operating similarly to how Mewtwo EX kind of relies on Gardevoir support. Otherwise, Delmise is worth mentioning, being able to hit 90 damage for 2 energy with Superior in play. If you're running the new Exeggutor, then the new Execute is a strict upgrade to the one from Genetic Apex, being able to ramp an energy if you open it going second. Shiinotic is technically a 1 energy attacker that hits for 50 and guaranteed sleep with Superior in play, but I'm not sure if it'll actually see much play. While I don't necessarily think the new fire cards are going to be the backbone of any new decks, there are a couple cards that pair well with already established Genetic Apex decks. For the Blaine deck, I think the new Ponyta is probably a strict upgrade. It trades off 10 guaranteed damage for the possibility of hitting 40 on a coin flip, which is probably worth it. The new Rapidash is worth considering, being able to do 100 damage for 2 energy on a coin flip. However, compared to the Rapidash from Genetic Apex, you are trading off the ability to tack on your second turn going first, so I feel it's less of a straight upgrade and kind of more a preference. You're already running Ninetales as a going second attacker, so I'm not sure if it's worth losing out on your going first attacker, but time will tell which Rapidash ends up on top. There is a new Magmar, but once again, I do not think it's worth playing. Pour one out for the Magmar fans out there. Volcarona allows you to snipe 80 damage anywhere for 3 energy, albeit at the cost of discarding 2 energy. I think this naturally pairs best with Moltres EX's energy acceleration, but whether it's actually worth the space compared to other fire attackers like Charizard EX or Arcanine EX is a little questionable. The Salazzle is weird, man. Having payoff for poison being on the basic Pokemon when the evolved Pokemon is the one that inflicts the poison feels kind of backwards. So I don't know. I'm not sure that that's going to do anything. And yeah, it seems backwards to me. I don't know. Water gets some cool new tools here. So, as a former Washout Quagsire player in the physical TCG, Vaporeon is probably my favorite card in this set. So, Vaporeon's Washout ability allows you to move water energy from your benched water Pokemon to your active water Pokemon as many times as you want during your turn. While we don't have any Pokemon with abilities that accelerate water energy yet, keep this card in mind if we do ever get something like that. Even right now, though, Vaporeon can be slotted into basically any water deck. It allows you to maintain tempo while swapping out attackers. This is especially useful with something like Starmie EX, which has 0 retreat cost, so you're not losing any resources whatsoever if you move it to the bench. I also put the new Eevee here just for reference, since I think it's a strict upgrade to the ones in Genetic Apex. Also, if you liked high rolling with Lickitung, you're going to have fun with Eevee because it's basically the same thing. Gyarados EX is a massive stage 1 Pokemon at 180 HP, and it's a wild attacker too. It does 140 damage for 4 energy, and then it discards 1 random energy on the board. Keep in mind, this can remove your own energy, so use this at your own risk. Obviously, you're going to need to power this up in some way, probably Misty, so Godspeed if you try to use this thing. The new Magikarp is a strict upgrade to the one from Genetic Apex. It allows you to safely swap it to the bench while maintaining energy if you open it going second. The rest of the cards, I'm not sure we'll see much play. Luminion has a 50 damage bench snipe for 2 energy, but keep in mind it can't hit active. Dreadnought deals 70 damage for 3 energy and discards an energy from the opponent on a heads, but I feel like Gyarados EX is just like a better focus. Cramorant is similar to Dugtrio from Genetic Apex, being able to make itself completely immune for a turn. It is a basic Pokemon, it does hit harder, but 3 energy is a bit steep. Of course, this is a water deck, so you could just open Misty, continue flipping heads, and then you just like auto win some games. But if you're flipping that many heads, you'd probably win faster with like Gyarados EX or something. So I don't know. Um, Lightning doesn't get a whole lot here, unfortunately, though let's be honest, that's probably for the best given how strong Pikachu EX has been. The new Pikachu can hit for more damage now, and it's probably an improvement over the previous non-EX Pikachu, but its attack is based on how many bench Pokemon your opponent has, so the damage is not consistent. Raichu for 3 energy deals 60 damage to the active, plus 20 to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. I guess you could think about utilizing this as a spread attacker, but I'm not sure if that strategy is going to be fast enough to keep up with other decks at the moment, but keep it in mind if there's any spread decks in the future in the Lightning type. Electabuzz can snipe for 10 more damage than Zebstrika can on a basic body, but it requires 1 more energy, so I'm not really sold on it. Galvantula is basically Lightning Arbok. I guess that's cool. I don't know. Dedenne, I think, is actually the best Lightning card in this set. It's able to flip for paralysis for only 1 energy. Obviously, it's not going to be the headliner for a deck, but I think this is going to act as a replacement for Pincurchin in Pikachu EX decks. Now, for Psychic. So, the non-EX Mew isn't really worth talking about. So, of course, the main card to talk about for Psychic is the poster card of the set, Mew EX, which is sporting its classic genome hacking attack, allowing it to copy the attack of the opponent's active Pokemon. Does your opponent have a Mewtwo EX or a Charizard EX inactive? Not anymore after you knock it out with its own attack. Something to know about this style of attack is that if your Mew is copying an attack that discards a specific energy type as a secondary effect of an attack, like the aforementioned Mewtwo EX or Charizard EX, you don't have to discard any energy if you don't have that energy attached to Mew EX. So again, if you're copying Mewtwo EX or Charizard EX and you don't have that specific energy type attached to your Mew EX, the attack doesn't have a downside. While Mew EX naturally pairs well with Gardevoir's ability to accelerate psychic energy, its main attack only needs colorless energy, so you can like really throw it in any deck you want. Obviously, I just have it here with the psychic cards, but yeah, this is almost a colorless card if you want to think about it like that. Sigil, I don't know how to pronounce this card, dude. It's a strict upgrade for any decks playing Meowth if you just want some extra card draw. It's literally the same card, but just 20 more HP. The rest of the psychic cards seem pretty underwhelming. Beheeyem, it's a stage 1 that can deal 10 plus 20 for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon, so hitting up to 70 for 1 energy is nice, so I could see this seeing niche play somewhere, but I don't know, I feel like you're probably better off focusing on other cards. Florges and Slurpuff lines seem like mostly pack filler to me, so I'm not really going to even spend any more time on those. Fighting next. So Aerodactyl EX has the Primeval Law ability, which prevents your opponent from evolving their active Pokemon. Now, if you read this card, it may seem oppressive at first, but keep in mind, at least in the current metagame, most evolutions are actually happening on the bench. Not all, but a lot of them. Gardevoir hides behind Mewtwo EX, Charmander's behind Moltres EX, like all the secondary lightning attackers behind Pikachu EX or Zapdos EX. Even Superior is going to be behind Celebi EX, so I don't know, man. Is Aerodactyl EX a bad card? No, I don't think so. But I am not sure the current meta is the best place for it. Also, keep in mind, since the basic form of Aerodactyl is actually an item card, as far as deck building is concerned, you're going to be forced to make this the secondary Pokemon in the deck, kind of, since you can't lead with the fossil, and you can't search for it with Pokeball, so it's like inherently less consistent than a normal stage 1. I think Marshadow is actually probably the most interesting fighting card in the set for the current metagame, at least. For 2 energy, Marshadow can deal 100 damage if your opponent scored a knockout from an attack on the previous turn. This is decent in general, but especially relevant because it's hitting 120 after weakness to one-hit KO a Pikachu EX. Be mindful, though, that your Pokemon being knocked out from a non-attack, like a Poison Tick, for example, will not trigger Marshadow's damage boost, so keep that in mind. The new Primeape line, it's okay. I'm not really sure if it's much of an improvement over the promo Mankey and the genetic Apex Primeape. The new Mankey hits for more damage on a coin flip, so it's inconsistent, and it doesn't work with the genetic Apex Primeape because that one needs a Mankey that hits itself. On the other hand, the new Primeape, it doesn't require any setup from promo Mankey, but it hits for less damage, so I don't know. And either way, you're getting one shot by most relevant attackers. So if I'm playing Primeape, I think I'm probably taking the risk on the previous evolution line. Golem could see some play with Brock, but I think the main problem remains that it's a stage 2 attacker that can't attack until your 4th turn without Brock. Stonejourner also, I don't know. It's an interesting wall, I guess, but with 3 retreat costs and 3 energy attack, you're kind of committing to it being used to stall and nothing else. So I don't know why you do that over something like Wheezing or even Mew. Similar to Fire and Lightning, I don't think Darkness has much for new decks. Rather, it has some minor enhancements to previous decks. So the new Coughing is probably worth playing over Genetic Apex Coughing. It can't deal damage, but it places your other Coughing from your deck directly onto your bench. So this allows immediate access to chain together Wheezing evolutions with Koga. So I think that's really nice. The new Wheezing it probably isn't worth playing in most decks that use Wheezing as a wall, but you could try it out as an attacker in like an actual dark deck. Also, for those who were running Golbat as a Mewtwo EX counter, the Liepard line is a strict upgrade over that. Purloin hits 10 more than Zubat, and both of the cats are tankier than their respective bat counterpart. Do you want to play these cards still? I don't know, probably not, but yeah, it's just objectively better than the Golbat line. Solipede could act as a replacement for Muck in the poison-focused Darkness decks. Deals 120 damage to a poison Pokemon. This is the same attack as Muck damage-wise, but for only 2 energy, with the trade-off, of course, being that it is a stage 2 rather than a stage 1 attacker. Dragon only gets 1 new card, which I guess is better than Steel, which got literally nothing. Yeah, I'm not sure what deck is making room for Drudagon. Like most Dragon attackers, it requires multiple energy types, so you'll maybe want to partner with colorless attackers. Otherwise, you'll need to find a fire or water attacker and then hope you don't brick on energy. Speaking of colorless attackers, Pidgeot EX is a stage 2 attacker with 170 HP, which for 3 energy deals 80 damage, plus 20 for each benched Pokemon the opponent has. So while that's not guaranteed extra damage, if you are hitting it, 140 damage is a great number to hit, allowing 1-hit KOs on most basic and stage 1 EXs. Tauros deals 40 damage for 3 colorless energy, but it hits 120 against EX Pokemon. So this is enough to score a 1-hit knockout against Pikachu EX, which is great if you really hate that thing, but it will take a couple of turns to power up. So whether or not it's actually worth it, I'm not really sure. I already talked about Eevee alongside Vaporeon, but yeah, just reiterating, it is the best Eevee to play. Also, the Pidgey and Pidgeotto from this set, I don't know. The Pidgeotto especially, I think, is a lot worse because you need 3 energy to attack with it as opposed to 1. The Pidgey, I don't know. I think it's a trade-off either way on that one. But yeah, I'd stick with the original Pidgeotto for sure. Chatot is super interesting. Man, yeah, I don't know. This card's wild. So, okay, for 1 energy, it allows you to shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw up to your opponent's hand size. So it's basically the effect of the supporter copycat from the physical game. So this is like kind of an all-in card, right? So theoretically, if you go second and your opponent doesn't play most of their cards and your hand is full of cards that you can play, you could go like +4 in card advantage. So that's obviously like game-winningly good, but that is a very specific situation. So you might not always get the opportunity to actually utilize the card to its full potential. But yeah, just keep in mind this card could go like so ham. I'm going to group the items and supporters together here. So Old Amber is reprinted here, which is nice for those who want to play Aerodactyl EX but didn't pull the item from Genetic Apex. Pokemon Flute allows you to put a basic Pokemon from your opponent's discard pile onto their bench. So players familiar with Target Whistle in the physical game are aware of how annoying this card could be. This card has obvious synergy with cards that get better with more benched Pokemon your opponent has, like the new Raichu, Bikiyam, and Pidgeot EX cards. But it can also be used to kind of steal wins with a gusting effect like Sabrina. So, for example, if your opponent has only a single EX Pokemon in play and you already have 2 points, you can flute a small basic Pokemon back into play, Sabrina it into active, and then knock it out for the win. This also works with any other switching effects like the Pidgeot from Genetic Apex. I guess Victor Bell too, if you want to play that. But yeah, Sabrina is usually the one that you're going to see that play with. Mythical Slab is a great consistency card for evolution-based psychic decks, notably Gardevoir. You look at the top card of your deck, and if it's this is a psychic Pokemon, you add it to your hand. Otherwise, you place it at the bottom of your deck. So best case scenario, you find a Kirlia or Gardevoir. Worst case scenario, you don't get a Pokemon, but you're still now 1 card closer to actually finding that Kirlia or Gardevoir that you need. If you want to get memey, you could run Porygon, which lets you look at the top card of your deck as its ability. So you could use that to determine whether or not you should use the item this turn or hold it for next turn. Am I actually advocating for that? No, but it's funny. Also, I can't talk about this card without mentioning the Gengar EX believers out there. I know you're out there, so this card is great for you. Keep your dreams alive. Um, Budding Expeditioner allows you to place your Mew EX from the active spot back into your hand. So it's similar to Koga and Weezing. It allows Mew EX to be used as like kind of a damage sponge while setting up another attacker on the bench. This is nice considering it doesn't require a stage 1 line like Weezing does. However, Weezing's ability to poison the opponent before dipping out allows a bit more aggression. Um, if you want to really watch the world burn, you could play both lines together to form like a really obnoxious stall deck. But that deck aside, at the very least, this is going to see play in decks focused on Mew EX as an attacker, as like a get out of jail free card if Mew's going to get knocked out. Blue makes it so your Pokemon take 10 less damage from attacks during your opponent's turn. With the way this card is worded, it doesn't matter which Pokemon the opponent attacks with or which of your Pokemon get attacked for the effect to block damage. So it's really hard to play around, and it's something you'll always kind of have to consider when setting up math. Leaf is like, it's simply 2x speeds in one supporter card. This is like really nice for decks with heftier retreat costs. Think like Gardevoir and Mewtwo EX. Though it obviously does compete with other supporters for your turn. Leaf also has interesting synergy with Washout Vaporeon. It allows any 2 retreat Pokemon like Articuno EX to be able to leave the active without losing any energy for your new active Pokemon to attack with. So that's it for the cards in Mythical Island. If I had to pick what type is the winner of the set, I think I'd probably have to go with Grass, followed closely by Water and Psychic. Superior really just, it allows acceleration for Grass decks in a similar way that Gardevoir does for Psychic, so it's hard to say that isn't going to be a meta deck, and Celebi EX is the most immediately obvious partner to take advantage of that ability. I wish this wasn't introducing yet another coin-based deck into the metagame, but it is what it is. If there's something you think I missed in my initial assessment of the set, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. As always, I hope this video is helpful. If so, I'd appreciate if you could leave a like, and feel free to subscribe for more Pokemon TCG Pocket content. If you want to catch me live, I stream over at twitch.tv/argmytoast. I mostly stream Pokemon content like TCG Pockets or speedruns, but I also dabble in other things as well. So yeah, thanks for watching and happy holidays. Bye-bye.